Mark Rogers TV wrapping up SEC Media Days in Hoover, Alabama. Mike Laval from Last Word on College Football joins us to give us the Tennessee angle. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Great, Mark, as always. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So Butch Jones hit the podium on day number one. And considering the trajectory or perceived trajectory of the program, he seemed pretty upbeat and pretty positive, and was the salesman that he typically is.
Yeah, that's right, Mark. He was definitely the salesman that he always is. The one big question he was asked was about disappointment. If he was disappointed in last year's 9-4 record, he kind of avoided saying disappointment. He said he wasn't disappointed. Said there were a lot of goals that the team had that the team didn't reach, and they continue to work better to get towards those goals and meet those goals and carry those goals into this year. But he said that they weren't disappointed. Now, a lot of fans did not take that very kindly. A lot of the reaction on social media was very negative to that. A lot of people wanting him to say that he was disappointed, that they want him to come out and say that he was disappointed. But what I think a lot of fans don't realize is that Butch Jones is not always talking to the fan base. I don't know that his number one intention is to sell the fan base. The people Butch Jones is targeting when he talks is his boosters and, more importantly, future recruits. And I think Butch Jones tries to keep an upbeat manage. He sees himself as the CEO of the company. He doesn't want his shareholders or his prospective customers to see negativity coming out of the coach's office. So I understand why fans want him to be more engaged in the emotional part, to show and to demonstrate a little bit more of that desire and that wantingness. But I think he shows that through how he runs the program. When he's out in the media and when he's talking, his talking points are geared towards the recruits first and foremost, and then the boosters secondly. It's not geared towards the fans. So when he says something like, we had goals that we didn't meet, but we weren't disappointed, he's trying to paint that upbeat program on an upward trajectory vision to those future recruits that he's out there talking to on the telephone every day, and to those boosters who he also talks to every day. So I think why the fans might not be happy, I think they need to understand why Butch Jones does what he does. They can disagree with that. They can critique that, but they need to understand that's why he does what he does, and they need to critique that as opposed to his talking points, because he's not really talking to the fans. He's talking to the recruits and the boosters. That's who he's talking to.
My experience, Mike, with fans is that they want to believe that they root for the best team or the best program, especially if they have any reasonable reason to believe that. And if you root for Tennessee football, then you have a proud tradition, you have the money, the resources, and you play in the conference to have some reasonable expectation of competing for championships. So even if that's not necessarily where you are right now, most fans want to believe, we're an elite program, therefore we don't settle for this type of season. We're shooting for championships. Therefore, they get disgruntled when they hear players and coaches say that they're satisfied with something less than a championship, because they believe they want to put themselves in connection with the program at a certain level.
Yeah, and that's a fair point, Mark. And if you look at the psyche of the Tennessee fan base, we're almost a full generation removed from our championship days, the middle to late Fulmer area, the '98 national championship, and being competitive through the early 2000s. We're still in what I call we're just coming out of. I think Jones is leading the Tennessee program out of the decade of irrelevancy. So the psyche of the Tennessee fan base is very shaken right now after the Kiffin Dooley years, and then the later Fulmer era, and then the Kiffin Dooley years. And fans have a right to be disappointed, and fans have a right to want Jones to be disappointed. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you just have to understand that Jones isn't talking to the fan base when he says something like that.